Hi, all my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. I'm here to make you another code review. Basically, I'm doing a code review for crime in Chicago. The reason why is because I've recently found out that one of my former friends is a serial fraudster. And as a result of that, decided I'd take more interest in how data science and artificial intelligence affect crime and are going to influence crime prevention, and also crime. So I got this data set from Kaggle. It's the Chicago crime data set from 2001 to present. And it was supposed to be for k-means clustering, but whenever I read the research paper didn't really go into k-means clustering, not like I thought that it would go into k-means clustering. And since the data set was a really big data set, and I just thought, well, I don't really even see why they're using k-means clustering, which I'm not sure they even did use k-means clustering. And I thought, well, you can just easily do this by just analyzing the data set, which is what I decided to do, was to analyze the data set. And so basically that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing an analysis, and it's going to be an analysis, and it's going to be no predictions. So I've got the data set off Kaggle. It's a really big data set. I will leave a link to the page in the description box down below. But the first thing that you want to do is you want to import your libraries. And since we are just doing an analysis, we're not doing any predictions or anything like that, you're just going to import the basic libraries, being NumPy to create NumPy arrays and perform numeric computations, Pandas to create data frames and process the data, OS to go into the operating system and retrieve the data, matplotlib.pyplot to visualize the data, and Seaborn to also visualize the data. So then what we're going to do is we're going to use OS to go into the operating system and retrieve the data. And we've got this data set, crimes 2001 to present CSV. Since it's a big data set, we're going to set the option to display all of the columns. So you can see that we set the option there. And then we're going to use Pandas to actually read the CSV file and convert it into a data frame. And one of the most prominent columns in the data frame is arrest, because that tells you whether or not they've been arrested or not. And domestic, I think that tells you if it was at home or something like that. And very few, what I found whenever I was researching this data set is that very few of the arrests or incidents were actually domestic. And from what I understand, the police won't get involved if it's a domestic, or that's the way it was 30 years ago. I don't know how it is now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to check the information of the data set, and this tells you whether they're object, a Boolean, or a numeric, an integer or a float. So we're going to check for null characters. So you've got quite a few null characters. We're going to drop all of the null characters because this is a really big data set. So everything that's null is just going to be dropped. And then we check for null characters again, and you see we don't have any null characters. Now what we're going to do is we're going to define our features, because we're not going to use all of the features in the data set. So the features are going to be primary type, description, location description, year, and arrest. So primary type tells you what type of crime it is. Description gives you a little bit of a description. Location description tells you where it is. Year tells you the year. And arrest tells you whether or not an arrest was made. So now what we're going to do is we're going to convert the Boolean objects to integer objects, because you need I think Matplotlib and Seaborn don't really take into account Boolean logic. So you have to convert it to an integer. So true is 1 and false is 0. So now you can see, rather than true and false, you've got 1s and 0s. So again, primary type, again, that's going to be, I don't know what I did, but I replaced that with true 1s and 0s as well. So obviously I made a mistake there, but even so, even though I made the mistake, it still worked out okay. So you can see the type of, so that was a mistake on my part. I think what had happened was I was going to take a column that was Boolean and I was going to replace that with 1s and 0s as well, but I didn't do it. And since there weren't any true and false, it didn't do anything. Now we're going to analyze the data frame. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to analyze the arrest, because the arrest tells you whether or not an arrest was made. So this tells you that whenever the police are called out to a crime, not very many arrests are made. A lot fewer arrests are made than are not made, and you can see that. So that's an imbalanced data set. So now we're going to do a value counts of the type of crimes that are committed in Chicago. And you can see that there's 35 types of crimes, but we're only going to go for the top 10 crimes, because if we try to make a bar chart on 35 types of crimes, it's going to be a hard bar chart to read. So we decided just to make 10, the top 10 crimes. And so we put it on a bar chart. And this is what it looks like in the bar chart. As you can see, theft is the top crime. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check the years, see how many crimes you had committed each year. So that'll tell you how many crimes are committed each year. And then what we do is we do a bar chart on how many crimes are committed each year. And you can see, I think it's on 2003, that had the most crimes committed in Chicago. So now we're going to find out where the location is, and we do a value count on the location. So the top one is street, and then we're going to use the top 10 locations. So you can see that these are the top 10 places that crimes are committed, with street is the number 1 place. So this gives you a bar chart of the location of the top crimes that committed, with street being number 1. So now we're going to check, since theft is the number 1 crime that's committed, we're going to filter the thefts out. So you're only going to get the crimes that are thefts. And then what we're going to do is we're going to group by the thefts and arrests. And so you can see, and we're going to count it. So how many crimes were thefts? And then so what we're going to do is we're going to do a sum of that to see how many of these crimes was an arrest actually made. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 data frames and we're going to put the total arrest into that database. And then we're also going to check the percentage of arrest. So you can see the percentage of arrests for thefts, which is not very high. It's actually quite low. So we're going to check the percentage of thefts for arrest, and you can see that it's actually quite low. They don't arrest very many people for theft. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the arrest and we're going to compare the crimes to the times that they're arrested. And you can see that a very small percentage of the thefts that are committed, an arrest is actually made. So the police don't really take thefts very seriously. And so that's it. That's it for this data set, this analysis. And so we've broken it down to thefts because that was the number one crime that was committed. And then we took the number of thefts where an arrest was made. And you can see from the Matplotlib bar chart below that not very many arrests were made. And so if you're in Chicago and something's stolen, you're probably not going to get it back and nobody's going to be arrested. And that's what I found out to be in my situation, because I had someone who was my friend for 3 years, and I knew he embellished. I knew he exaggerated, and I knew he embellished. But I didn't really know that he went right out and lied. I didn't know that, but I knew that he exaggerated and embellished. And then we found out for the whole 3 years he had been defrauding people, and it came to a head when he defrauded 2 groups of people who he had met through me. And so I couldn't be his friend anymore because you can't trust him. If you introduce him to somebody, he'll try to defraud that person. And that's why I'm taking an interest in crime. And obviously the police haven't done anything. One person that he defrauded was able to get his money back because we went to Action Fraud, and he phoned the bank, and the bank was able to get the money back. But he also took money out of my boyfriend's account, and I'm not really sure if my boyfriend is going to get the money back. So this crime was fraud. It wasn't theft, but it's closely related. So that's why I'm taking an interest in crime, because this individual, and the police haven't arrested that individual. He's been to prison twice and had 1 suspended sentence, and he just won't learn. He just won't learn, and he defrauded people that he met through me, and I couldn't be friends with him anymore after that because of what he did. So that's it for this data set and the reasons why I've decided to focus on crime because of what happened. So if you like my video, please like, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to communicating with you in the next video.